Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my mini review of the Creality Sonic Pad. So I have been messing around with this for a month or two, kind of trying different things out, plugging into my different printers. I don't have any Creality printers right now, so this will be from the perspective of a custom printer builder. I know this is definitely not the target market for this device for sure. Um, Long story short, if you are just have a Ender printer or just have a Creality printer, Clipper firmware maybe makes you nervous, you are unsure about installing it, that type of thing, and you just want a very quick one-time solution to get Clipper on your Creality printer, this might be okay. I will stress might. Um, there's nothing really crazy wrong with the product. I personally think there's better options. But again, I am not the demographic for this device, most likely. So I'm just going to give you my opinion, and you'll have to decide for yourself whether this is a good product for you or not. So, I do have to really give Creality props for the general overall form factor of this device. It's got a very nice screen, looks to be IPS, really good layout. It's got USB ports, nice stand. It is an actual well thought out, functional, physical device. We'll go over the interface a little bit here in a moment. There's a couple of little things that are a little bit odd, but overall, like I say, if you're wanting to get Clipper on your Ender or Creality type printers and you don't care about anything else, this might be an option for you. I think it's still too expensive. I still prefer to run Clipper off of an old laptop. I have a Lenovo X1 second generation. It's got 4 gigs of RAM and an i5. They can be had for like $150 Canadian, and most likely cheaper at your local marketplace. There's a lot of different older Ultrabooks and 4 gig of RAM laptops that were massively more powerful than this, will have better Wi-Fi, and will have a better Clipper experience for someone who wants to get to know Clipper and really get in the ins and outs of Clipper. Like I say, if you don't want to mess around with Clipper whatsoever and you just want to put Clipper on your Creality printer, this is probably okay. But there's some kind of things that really bug me about this device. And the first thing is Creality had to customize pretty much all the software on this to make their menu work, as far as I can tell. So they have their own kind of fork of Clipper, Mainsail, Moonraker, everything on there. It's not the latest official software from the Mainsail devs or Creality or Clipper devs or anything like that. That right there alone for me, I don't like. There's features missing in Mainsail that I noticed right away. They're minor, of course, at least the ones that I found, but the whole point of getting Clipper is being on this bleeding edge and having access to the latest official releases of Clipper. You can update whenever you like. If some big new feature in Clipper or Mainsail for that matter came out, you can just go get it. You can update it right through Mainsail or Fluid. You can't do that on this. This is Creality's own fork of it, and it's very customized. And as a really dumb example, for instance, I had this plugged into my Rook Evolution 3D printer, and my Rook Evolution has LEDs. There's no LED option in Mainsail on the Sonic Pad. So in the Mainsail UI, I can't go in there and configure my colors and stuff like that from the actual UI. The macros and G-code and stuff all still work, but Again, it's running an older, different version of mainsail, and it lacks that feature, which is something nice to have. I like to have that if I'm choosing different colors and things like that. It's just a handy addition to the UI to have it. Also, there's no like, you can't update Clipper and Moonraker and all that stuff from the web interface. You're going to have to do it from like over the air, like settings option on here, or through USB stick. I believe you can update this. So I just don't like that. I'm not a Linux developer, so I'm sure Creality had to customize a lot of that so that they could get the UI as user friendly for Creality stuff as possible. They've done some decent work on guiding a user through connecting it to their Ender printer, you know, doing some self-tests and stuff like that. But it's probably even for a much smaller demographic than I would think. I would want to learn more about Clipper as I put this on my printer, and this kind of dumps you off at the side of the road after you get it on your Ender 3, let's say, for an example. From what I can tell in the manual and at the end of your configuration, there's nothing to tell you to go and look into the Clipper documentation about pressure advance, for instance. Pressure advance is a calibration that you're going to want to do on any printer, and it should hopefully at least direct you on how to calibrate that, especially to calibrate your extruder rotation distance as well. That's something that should be done on every printer. And my concern is someone goes and plugs this into their Creality machine and they start printing, and yeah, they can print really fast out of the box, and it's got input shaper, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but the user doesn't know how to tune the rest of their printer. They don't know how to tune pressure advance. There's no like walkthrough on how to do that or any direction. So if you're going to be learning on how to install Clipper on your computer, you're going to kind of want to start learning that kind of stuff. And I would recommend anyone who has a Sonic Pad definitely go to the Clipper website and look into, input shaper from the Clipper, right from the Clipper documentation, so you know more about it. Look into pressure advance. That's something that everyone's going to want to tune on their printer to get the nicest quality prints they can possibly get. And the best part about Clipper is it makes tuning those things very easy, but you have to know where to look and you have to know how to tune those. So again, it's a little bit of mixed bags for me. I'm sure this will work for a small subset of people who just want to get Clipper on their machine and not worry about anything, and I'm sure it's okay for that. Let's go through the interface, and we'll talk about a couple other little things here, and we'll kind of wrap this up and do a little bit of a conclusion on this. Okay, here we are back on the actual device itself, and I don't have a printer connected to this, so this is kind of the screen that you'll get here. But if we go into choose a printer here, there's a couple things that are a little weird to me. So it's really awesome that Creality lets you configure other printers other than their own on here, which is a bit surprising, and it's pretty cool that they allow you to do that. So as I did in a previous video on my FL Sun Super Racer, they do have like Prusa printers on here, and you can even go to the very end here and actually choose other models. And what's neat about this is you can actually compile the firmware for your main board right on the actual Sonic Pad. They have this UI here so that you can actually compile the firmware, which I was actually really shocked by and I thought was really, really cool. I don't know if they're planning on expanding this, but they only have a very small amount of processors here. They did not have the SKR Mini E3 version 3 on here. Again, I know that this is most likely for Ender or Creality printers first, but if they're going through all the work to make this a really nice tool, and they're obviously supporting, like, there's Prusa printers and other things in there, then why not have all of the processor options in the drop down here so that people can build firmware really easily? And I would actually like to see Mainsail and Fluid actually have this right on their web interface, so you can build the firmware directly from Mainsail or Fluid. That, to me, is a quality of life feature that Klipper and this ecosystem should have. So it's, hats off to Creality for doing a lot of this and making it easy for them to, or for users to actually compile firmware for other machines. It was really nice that I was able to compile the firmware for my Super Racer right directly through here. But like I say, I was not able to compile the firmware for my Rook Evolution because it uses a SKR Mini E3 version 3 board. And because this is not running the official vanilla version of Klipper, I cannot just go in there and compile the firmware very easily. Again, my preference would be that there would be the standard default install of Klipper, so I can go into the folder, run my make menu config, compile the firmware how I want, and get it off of there and go from there. Or even leverage Klipper installation and update helper to do that for me. That would be my preference. Something also very weird, and I don't know if they just never thought about this step, but once you compile the firmware, it'll copy it to a USB stick for you, which is awesome. That's a really great feature. Again, they did pay some decent attention to detail on these kind of things. So for instance here, I have a USB stick. You can just pop this in the side of the Sonic Pad and you can actually copy your bin file directly onto the USB. We'll just demonstrate that here really quickly. If I click generate, it takes a moment for it to find it. I might have even broken this USB stick, but anyways, I think I formatted this on my Windows machine, so that's why it's not detecting. But the really annoying part about this is they did all this work to make the bin file get copied over to your USB stick, but they don't rename the bin file to firmware.bin. So you have to take it out, put it on your computer, go into the USB stick, rename the bin file to firmware.bin, put it back onto the device, or take the USB stick out of your computer, and then plug it into a mainboard to flash. It would be a very simple step for them to just rename the bin file before they copy it to this. That would, again, attention to detail, quality of life would be really, really nice for that. But yeah, so let's talk about one other thing that I really hate about the Sonic Pad, and it has to do with the included accelerometer. So, hats off to Creality. They include a accelerometer in the box. I think they call this a G sensor for whatever reason. But I do not know why they chose to go with an S-video connector for this. Now, I completely understand that you can't just take an accelerometer and put a USB port on it without doing additional work. There's, I believe, like 6 wires that have to come out of here. So a USB cable won't work just like out of the box. But if you're going to the effort to include an accelerometer and you're going to, try to make it packaged nicely and, a nice clean look to it, user-friendly, just go the extra mile and actually do this correctly. And I'll show you what Creality should be doing. This is the FISEC accelerometer. This is, I think, $16 Canadian. It's not expensive at all. It's USB-C, and how they did that is they're using the Raspberry RP2040 processor, so they can convert the accelerometer to USB-C. This Creality is how you should be including an accelerometer. This is an actual value add. And I'm pretty sure for the price of this device, they could have definitely done this. So again, I hate doing proprietary stuff like this S-video weirdness on the back here. If they went through all the effort with this product to include a accelerometer, they could have done it correctly. So this is a big no for me on this. I know I get their thoughts behind doing this, but I wish they would have thought this through a little bit more. Again, there's definitely a little bit of attention to detail lacking throughout this product. So I really dislike that. Maybe if they make a second revision of this, they will consider doing the accelerometer properly. But yeah, not a fan of that. But yeah, so again, my opinion is this is an okay device if you just want to convert your Creality printer to Clipper, you don't care about anything else, and you're okay with the price. I think it's too expensive. I would much rather learn about Clipper more, buy a old laptop, install like just a generic version of Debian Linux on it and put Clipper on, and that way I know I have the official latest version of everything. But I know that I am biased because I do build custom printers. I generally don't have any Creality printers, so again, figure out which one is best for you, which way you want to, or which route you want to go. This is a functional device. As soon as I open it up out of the box, I did get an over-the-air update, so that was kind of nice. I think it's like 60-65% there. I just really wish they were able to use more official versions of Clipper or Moonsail, that type of thing, and I wish they put a bit more effort into kind of completing the UI fully. And maybe a year from down the road or whatever, I can revisit this and hopefully it'll be better. But that's my thoughts on this, everyone. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next time.